I really need a chair so that I don't have to sit on the floor and do these long videos, don't I? Yeah, I'm getting old, my back hurts. But we're talking about books today, so I'm excited. Hello friends, I'm Rosa, welcome to the channel. So, it has been, I feel like it's been such a long time since I've sat down and talked about books because we've been doing so many unboxings. I mean, okay, there was a book haul, and yes, we do talk about books in the book haul, but I don't know, I feel like I've just not. Oh, it's because that video was pre-recorded. I've not talked about books for like 3 weeks. Feels strange. So, we're gonna do that today. So we're doing the wrap up. I know it's super late, but I was not able to upload it for the first like 10 days of April, so can't pre-record a wrap up either because the month is not over, or at least it wasn't in this scenario, in this case. And so I'm just a little bit behind. I have 13 books to talk about, I think, and I will say, preface this by saying that I was sick for about 10 days or something, which means that I read a lot of smut. When I'm sick, I just want to read stuff that is easy to read. I want to read stuff that's just like right there on the page. I don't have to think about it too much. And smut is like, it's entertaining. It's easy to read. I almost said I can relate to it, but like, no. So I picked up Kindle Unlimited and I just had a good time with it. It was entertaining. It made me forget that I was sick for a little bit. And we're going to talk about those books. I read my first Monster Smash as well, which was interesting, and then that followed 2 other Monster Smash books, so we have that to talk about as well. And other than that, some of the usual like YA fantasy, adult fantasy, maybe there's a rom-com in there as well. So I will leave links, or not links. Yeah, I will also leave links to all of the books in the description box down below, but also chapters right here. So if you want to skip to a specific book, feel free to do so. If you don't want to get spoiled or anything, we're not talking spoilers today, but just in case you don't want me to talk about a specific book, you don't want to hear me talk about a specific book, you can skip past it by clicking on the chapters. So what are we starting with? The book club picks? Yes. Let's do it, because the first book, it's not the first book I read in April. It was like one of the last ones. I was sick at the start of April's. Why do I say April? It's March. I was also sick at the start of April, but March. Anyway, with the book club, we read Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent, which is, I want to call it a new adult fantasy romance, although very heavy on... The romance plot is there. It's like nicely woven throughout the story. However, it's not like constant, so don't think smut when you're reading this. Whereas a lot of the fantasy romance that you find on Kindle Unlimited, I believe this was at least on Kindle Unlimited, I don't know if it is anymore, but a lot of the stuff that you find on their fantasy romance is indeed very smutty. This is not that. This is a nice slow burn, so think slow burn. But in this book, we follow Tasana, who is she's a former slave who's been working away to buy her own freedom, and then something happens. Tasana finds herself on the run. So she runs to these people that are called the Order. And the Order are basically, it's hard to explain, but they're an order. I know, surprising. They have soldiers, they have magic, and she goes there to basically get protection because she's on the run. But also, she's offering herself as like, to become one of their soldiers in exchange for safety and protection from them, and because of this, she has to train with them. She's a little bit older than all of the other apprentices, but it's all good, it's all fine. She gets a spot there, and then she gets teamed up with this guy, this mentor, who's very reluctant to mentor her. And so it's about the two of them getting to know each other, Tasana training, and also certain things like with the Order are a little bit suspicious, and that is brought to light throughout the book. And so it's about the two of them kind of both training, because Tasana she becomes a badass, but also they kind of like don't really trust the Order as well. So I will say this definitely reads, I'm not sure if it's a debut. I think it might be. It's a little bit repetitive at times, just like a little bit, but language-wise, just want to say language-wise. I love these kind of stories. I could barely like make myself put down the book when I was reading it. It definitely gives me Throne of Glass, but better than Throne of Glass, because like the first 2 books, I'm not gonna lie, they're not the greatest pieces of literature out there. No offense to Throne of Glass whatsoever. You know I love that series. But the first 2 books, It could be a little bit, you know. So this one does read better than Throne of Glass, I will say. I enjoy this so much. Like, it gives me vibes, Throne of Glass vibes, and then with the slow burn as well. And they're so cute. Their chemistry is just, I loved it so much. Think a bit like Grumpy Sunshine, although she has obviously a very traumatic past, so she's not super sunshiny all the time when you're in her head reading from her point of view. But outwardly, she's like battling off everything and just like waving it off, making jokes and stuff. And then Max is a little bit more like hesitant, grumpy, doesn't like anyone, but he likes her. And it's just so cute. I love it. I'm very interested in seeing where the magic system goes in this one. It's very like, we got two different, I should not go into details because that's not gonna work out, is it? But there are two different types of magic. One that, how was it explained? It's more like, actually no, there's more than that. Yeah, there's a bit more than that, so I'm not going to try to explain it, but I'm interested in seeing where it's going to go. I'm also very curious about Tisana being fragmented and stuff, so I actually bought the sequels to this as I was reading it because I was enjoying it so much. I had one night where I basically could not fall asleep. I have insomnia, so that's sometimes, most of the time, really difficult. Anyway, so I couldn't fall asleep like at all, and I was getting desperate. I'd been lying there for like 1.5 hours and I was like, okay, this is not happening. So I decided to go take my sleep medication, and then I went back, picked up the book, read another like 100 pages, and I was like, okay, I'm finally ready to sleep. So it helped me through a night as well, a very rough night. I'm very thankful for that. It was so entertaining. I probably should have put it down before reading those 100 pages, but I couldn't stop myself on sleep medication. It was so good. Don't do that, by the way. Like, just saying. Disclaimer, do not do that. Anyway, I very much enjoyed this. It is so cute. I've posted a couple of pictures as well with quotes and stuff on my Instagram if you want to check it out. I'm currently Evelyn YT over there, but I am considering changing the name because I'm mostly posting books on there currently. But they're just so cute. So cute, and I am very much looking forward to going into the sequels. So, plus Tisana is probably one of my favorite characters that I've read about this year at least, so props for that. Carissa Broadbent is definitely an author to watch. I also read The Serpent and the Wings of Night recently, and it was so good. Another slow burn. Can highly recommend if you're looking for, like, if you're looking to look into Carissa Broadbent, definitely do. Fantasy romance, slow burn, and just nice and cool and lovable characters. So, very happy we read that one. Then I also read Dreams Lie Beneath by Rebecca Ross, which was surprisingly good as well. So, I have only read A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross, I think, and I really enjoyed it. I thought maybe I wanted a little bit different, like a little bit of a different vibe from the book than what I got, but I still very much enjoyed it, and I thought the writing was really good. So with this one, I was a little bit nervous going into it because I know that it is leaning on historical fiction. However, or I thought it was. It's not really. It's just set in a world where the time is kind of like our history. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know how to phrase this, but it's not historical fiction, so my fears were totally unwarranted. And I enjoyed this so much once I started reading it. I still think Rebecca Ross's writing is just like, it's very flowy, it's very comfortable, so I enjoyed this so much. In this one though, we follow, she has two names. What is her real name? Clementine. We follow Clementine, who is the daughter of the warden of this area that they live in. So the thing about this world is that something has happened in the past and people are being like haunted by nightmares when they sleep, and these nightmares have to be fought by the wardens of the different areas. So Clementine's father is basically responsible for this area that they live in, and Clementine is in training to become the next warden after her father like retires or whatever. So the thing about being a warden is that other magicians in the world can challenge you for your area, and that happens one day. Two young guys come to this town that they live in, this village, and they challenge her father, and they actually win. So they have to move elsewhere because they can't stay in the village, town, whatever I want to call it. I don't know what the right term anyway. They can't stay there once he's not the warden anymore, so they take off to somewhere else. And then Clementine finds out that one of the brothers, is actually a warden of the area that they've moved to. So she decides to take up an apprenticeship with him so that she can infiltrate him. And I don't know what her purpose was with that. I cannot remember, but there's the whole thing, and then there's the curse. The curse is causing the nightmares, and the two of them have to fight it, and that's what this is about. And also, like, she hates him. She hates his guts, and he doesn't know who she is. Like, not even a clue. So that's a thing. It's lovely. I thought it was so great. The world is quite interesting as well, and the characters are so cute. I really adored Clementine as a lead character as well, although I don't fully agree with every decision she makes in this book. Like, I'm not gonna lie, but if that's your way of going about it, then go ahead. But I thought it was really, really great, and it sucked me in. It's a very fast read as well. We have family dynamics in there too. Was kind of a little bit bored with the guy at times, but he's also very nice, and there's definitely some tension at times as well between the two. It is also a romance, just to clarify, a bit of an enemies to lovers romance, even though one of them doesn't know that they're enemies. But you know, it's a fun twist on it. So if you're looking for something very flowy, magical, and I don't know, comfortable. I want to call it comfortable, but also kind of sad at times because they did have to move, you know. But also with a little bit of like a curse mystery in the background, although not really in the background is a big part of it. This was really, really good. I'm surprised. I really enjoyed this. So I don't know why I'm surprised. I shouldn't be. So that was the book club's primary and secondary pick. If you want to check out the book club, by the way, there is always a link to it in the pinned comment. During this month, we're reading Frost by C.N. Crawford, and next month we're reading Fortuna Sworn by, oh, I had the name and then I completely lost it. Did you guys ever get that? That's so annoying. KJ Sutton. There we go. Phones are so handy. And we're also in the book club doing a read-along of The Plated Prisoner. So we're currently on Glint, which is the third book, and as I'm recording this, we're halfway through the book, I think, or about halfway through, a little bit more than halfway through. So we finished Glint in March, which is definitely an improvement from Guild. From Guild. These titles are so similar. I'm so confused sometimes. I don't know. Anyway, the first book is called Guild and the last one is called Gold. There is one letter of a difference between those two titles. Like, I feel like I'm justified in being confused. Also, these are by Raven Kennedy and are definitely fantasy romance. But like, think slow burn across books. Like, we're not just talking like at the start they kind of see each other and then at the end there's kissing and stuff. No. We're talking slow burn across books. So be patient. Have patience, my dear. As for Guild though, because I cannot tell you the story in Glint, we follow Oren, who is, well, she's a prisoner, basically, but she doesn't really see it that way. So, it's a King Midas retelling, and King Midas he's actually King Midas in the book, but he has basically imprisoned Oren in the castle that they live in, and oh, I have to be careful of what I say, because there's a lot you don't know in the first one that suddenly you get to know at the end of the book, right? I gotta be careful. Okay, well, she's imprisoned in a cage in the castle. And she's happy to be there, unfortunately. I don't agree with that, but she's very much dealing with Stockholm Syndrome, so that is very much a thing in the series, at least for a while. So all she knows is King Midas, and all she loves is King Midas. Everyone else basically hates her. The guards are not allowed to talk to her. She doesn't have any friends. The other girls at the castle that are called saddles, because they're basically there to be ridden. Ew. Did I just say that? I mean, it's kind of in the name, but like, did I have to say that? Anyway, they don't like her because she is King Midas's favored and jealousy is a thing. So she doesn't really have anyone other than King Midas, although King Midas is also with the other girls. Just want to say, just want to put that out there. It starts there's a scene right at the start of the book. It's a lot. Like, it's definitely let's set the tone, okay? So her days are basically waiting for King Midas, reading a little bit, drinking wine, being bored, but she thinks that she's safe, and so she's happy. And then one day, King Midas enters a deal with a king from another kingdom, because the world in this is basically split up into different kingdoms. So they all have like first kingdom, second kingdom, fifth kingdom, etc., etc. I just skipped 3 and 4, but that's fine. You can count. I can't. It's okay. And the deal is basically that the king of this other kingdom can have Oren for one night if King Midas gets to use his army to invade another kingdom. And so Oren is like shook, because what the heck? Here she is thinking that King Midas loves her. Why would he just lend her off to another king to do as he pleased with her? for power. What the heck? And so her world is turned upside down. She starts to question, what is going on here? Can I trust King Midas? Can I trust anyone? And that is what this book is like. It's basically like the catalyst for a lot of stuff happening in this series. Like, it's what causes her to be introduced to certain characters at the end of the first book that she spends a lot of time with throughout this one, but also the next one and stuff. So just be patient. It's a slow moving series a little bit, but I feel like it's worth it around the book that we're reading right now, which is Glint. And I actually really enjoyed big parts of this. I'm very invested in the story, and I think one of the reasons is that I really like Oren. Although, like, sure, the whole Stockholm Syndrome thing can be a little bit frustrating at times because you're just so like, why can't you see it, Oren? But I also get it. I understand it because it's very well explained as well throughout the story, I feel, why she has the perspective that she has. So, but it's a slow burn spread throughout books. So we're getting to some good stuff, you know? Because I actually think I really adore this romance. I think I like it. Like, I think I'm gonna love it at some point. But this is definitely a bit better than Guild was. I still enjoyed Guild. I could have binged it if I wanted to, but we're doing a read along of it, so I'm not going to. But I could have. Definitely bingeable. Easy to read. Fun at times. Also very triggery at times, and very dark as well, I want to say. So like, be careful. Look into it if you know, yeah. But I'm having a good time with it. And especially in Glint, which I'm reading right now, I've been squealing at moments. There is a guy who just knows the completely right things to say at the perfect time. Like, he just knows exactly what to say. He's very clearly written by a woman. I'm just saying. And it's like, ugh, yes. Like, he just knows exactly what to say. And I love that. I love that. So anyway, so those were the book club books, if you will. I'm going to talk a bit about some books that I read on Kindle, because I've read a lot on Kindle throughout the last month. I need my list. I always keep a list on my phone, so give me a moment. So I started out the month being sick, like I mentioned, and I decided that it would be a good time to explore some new genres, if you will, and just read something a bit fun, a bit on the shorter side, something a bit different from what I usually read, but still, I don't know, light, fun, and easy to read. So I picked up The Dragon's Bride by Katie Robert, which is monster smut with a dragon and a lady. A human woman, and it was actually surprisingly good. Like, I actually really enjoyed it. I also read, it's from a series that's called The Demon's Bargain, I think. So I also read The Kraken's Sacrifice, which I believe is a sequel. Yes. And also, there's another one which I think started it all, but I'm not really sure, but because it's called The Demon's Bargain. It's also by Katie Robert, but it's technically a part of another series that's called Peculiar Tastes, which is a series made, like, it consists of books written by different authors, so it's not just Katie Robert. But I think that one actually came out first, and then these stories with the Kraken and the dragon and what's the next one? Gargoyle, and then there's one with a succubus or something. They're basically based off of this first book, I think, but I could be wrong. It's a theory anyway, because I haven't actually checked release dates. So, but let's start out with The Dragon's Bride, because that was my favorite out of the 3 that I read. In this one, we follow Sol, who is a dragon. He is the leader of this country that he lives in. Is he a king? Like, I don't... Anyway, he's the leader of the dragons. And this world with the different kingdoms or countries. There's some tension here. So there's a demon who makes bargains with women from the human world, brings them to this world, and he has the idea that if he gives each of the leaders of the different countries in this world a bride or like a woman, and then they have to keep the woman for 7 years. The women are all there by choice. By the way, consent has been given. Just to clarify, consent has been given. They're not kidnapped. Okay? Are we good? Okay. But they're gonna be there with the different leaders for 7 years or something like that. I can't remember the exact time or the exact amount of time, in hopes of, you know, this whole issue. I can't exactly remember the details because it's not really brought up much. It's not the focus of the story, if you can't tell. Anyway, but in hopes it'll calm down a little bit, he decides to make them pick and choose which one of these 5 women, I think it is total, that they want to keep for a while. So that's the only thing they don't get to choose, but everything else, like it was in a contract that they read through and everything, because you read from the woman's point of view mainly in the books, so you know that consent has been given for various reasons, because they all have different reasons for doing so, or for giving it. But the first one is about Soul, the dragon, and I can't remember what the woman's name is, but she has reddish hair and a white dress. And she's nice, she's funny. I think Soul is a bit like a little bit of a grump, and she's a little bit of a sunshine, if I can recall correctly. Soul is also very careful and hesitant, and our lead girl just really kind of is curious with him and really wants him, which is funny. I think I, at some point, because I enjoyed the smut, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure why I did, but I did. Like, I can't explain it. Oh, this is gonna be so TMI to talk about, isn't it? Anyway, yeah, let's just jump into it. We're friends, it's okay. But I will say that at some point I decided we're just gonna ignore that he's a dragon, like completely ignore his description. He's not slimy and green and scaly. He's just not, okay? Then everything else was fine. Although, I don't there's a lot of, there are certain things that I can't talk about here on YouTube either, so that is a thing. But it was an experience. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was actually really, really funny to read. Even some of the smut had me laughing out loud on my couch, because it's like so absurd that it's just funny, you know? Like, I was entertained. I was very much entertained. And then, unfortunately for Kraken's sacrifice, it just went down. Like, I did not enjoy it. I think tentacles are not my thing. But also the whole chemistry between the two characters. So the setup is the same, but the difference is that our lead girl has been disappointed by basically everyone in her life. As in, like, she's been abused and she's been ignored and no one ever, like, she's just been mistreated and abused by everyone in her life throughout her entire life. So I can't exactly remember the catalyst for why she leaves the human world and goes to this other world instead, but with that in mind, it's a bit hard to understand why Katie chose to make her romance lead, like, how do you say that? The opposite in her romance story. Someone who basically does not know how to take care of her, because I feel like she really needed that. Because she's so used to just not being taken care of that her almost dying twice in the book was not a big deal, because he forgot that she's human. Like, the chemistry did not feel right. I feel like she should have had someone else as her romance part, if you get what I mean. I also did not like the lead character, or the lead guy. I did not like the Kraken as a character. I felt like he was quite boring. I don't know. I feel like he was so in his own head about his sad backstory that, because he lost someone, I'm not gonna go into details, but he's lost someone, and he was so stuck on that he just basically at times forgot all about her, which is so weird. I don't know, it didn't feel very, very romantic. The smut also was not for me, because tentacles are not my thing. I have learned. Tentacles are not my thing. It's a good thing to know. Yeah, now I know. So that one was a little bit of a disappointment. And then I decided anyway to read The Demon's Bargain, which is the one that it's a part of a different series, but these monster books that Katie Roberts has written are basically based off of this story, I think. I think it's like that. So we follow a witch who has had her, like, a family heirloom, a medallion or an amulet stolen by someone, and so she enters a deal with one of the demons, not the lead demon from the other one, but like someone who works for the lead demon in the other series. She enters a deal with them, so they have to help her get this amulet back from an ex-boyfriend of hers. And while they're working together to get this amulet back, they grow very fond of each other. The demon is especially very like, I don't know why I like her, but I do. Like, you know, that sort of thing. I want her. I don't know why, but I want her. I kind of liked the witch character in this. I thought she was quite cool. Very badass, very direct, very, would definitely stab you if you looked at her the wrong way. And I appreciate that in some characters. I know it's a bit psychopathic, but it's fun to read about. Also, I can't remember the smut in this was a little bit experimental. I don't know. I've definitely read some fun stuff in these 3 books that was never gonna happen in some of the other other books, the other romance books that I read. Like, and it's just been a fun time, like trying to, I've just been lying, or not lying, I've been laughing about it. And that's what I needed when I read them, because that was when I was feeling my worst. Like, I've just laughed about them. They made me laugh, except for the tentacles. No thank you. Not for me. Slimy things? Nah. We're good over here. Yeah, I had a good time with them. I still want to read the next two. Hopefully the chemistry will be a little bit better than it was with the Kraken and his, because I can't remember the character names. Like, they're just in and out, you know? Just gone. But hopefully the chemistry between future characters will be a little bit healthier, I want to call it, than that example was. The other two actually really enjoyed their chemistry, but just not that one. So that's a thing, yeah. And I also think as for character descriptions, I think I liked the description of our demon a little bit better than the other two actually. But that's also because them as a character, they were able to turn into a human. So at times, but also like, is it wrong if I say that a demon is not as scary as a dragon? I played a lot of Diablo as a kid. Like, I'm not easily scared by demons, you know? So anyway, enough talk about Monster Smash. Let's talk about Reverse Harem, because I read 2 of those as well when I was sick. I was just lying on the couch. Sick. So like these 3 Monster Smash books have been around like 180 to 220 pages. They were very, very quick reads. But I decided at some point, okay, I need to mix this up with something else that is super easy to read. And I have had my eyes on this author on Kindle Unlimited who's called Lily Gold, who writes Reverse Harem. So we're just gonna get the smut out of the way and we're gonna talk about the other books afterwards. So hang in with me, guys. Okay, we're gonna get there. But I figured that while I was lying on the couch feeling pathetic, it was about time that I actually checked out one of her books. So I read first Kraken with Benefits, and then I read Triple Duty Bodyguard? Yes, Triple Duty Bodyguard. I just needed to make sure that I had the title right. Okay, so Kraken with Benefits is like friends to lovers. He falls first. There's also an age gap situation. It's 3 guys and 1 girl. They're neighbors. They've known each other for a very long time. The guys have a podcast and the girl is like, what is it? She sells lingerie, but she also models it on her, what I think is the equivalent of Instagram. And so it was actually quite funny to like see characters somewhat in the same business as I am. I don't know, I thought some of the technical stuff was a little bit funny to read about, but maybe that's just a me thing. And their chemistry to start out with was so cute. I am not usually into friends to lovers. I am definitely more of an enemies to lovers situation. Like, I just like that one a little bit better. Bring out the knives, try to stab each other and then kiss, you know, it's just great. But it was cute to read about still. So the story is that our lead girl is struggling a little bit, I think, with her business or something. I can't really... Oh, right. She's like terrible at dating. Honestly, same. But like, this is like time it by 10 or 20 or 100. She's terrible at dating. She has like a list of stuff that she needs in a guy, and she will literally try to fish for information on the first date to see if this guy actually fills out her criteria, so he, you know, makes the list and stuff. She's terrible at flirting. She does not pick up on flirting. She's terrible at dating. And she loves to plan. So she has this plan that by the age of, I can't remember if it's 30 or something, and she's like 29 or 28, she wants to be married and she wants to be at a certain point in her life or something like that. And it's just not going well. So these 3 guys who are running a podcast, they have been trying to come up with something new to do for the podcast, to get more sponsors, to get more brand deals. Things are kind of stale a little bit, so they want to switch it up. And so they decide that as a segment for their podcast, they're gonna fake date her so that she can get practice dating. And what does that entail? A lot of things. They're good friends. It also entails her, or includes her dating more than one of the guys, which is actually quite funny. Also because they're just friends. And they've shared girls in the past. Like, they've had a 3 guys and 1 girl relationship in the past. I actually really adored how that was just completely normal in this book. Like that was just normal. I don't know, I thought that was quite refreshing. But they start to do this fake dating deal agreement, and then she helps them out with the podcast by coming on there once a week or something as well to give updates on how it's going. One of the guys is a little bit hesitant because he used to be her teacher, but he comes around, and it's just, I don't know, I thought it was fun to read about. The chemistry between her and I think that's one of the things that I actually like about Reverse Harem. One of the things that I like the most is that you get a love story. I'm a sucker for love stories, but you get to see different chemistries in the love story. So she has a completely different chemistry with the 3 different guys because there's an age gap, ex-teacher situation he's very hesitant to start out with, and then he's like all in and also a bit dominant. Like just a little bit. There's a guy who's like, he's been in love with her for the longest time and just really wants her to be happy. And then there's the third guy he's got a bit of a history and like a sad history, a sad story. There's something sad happened in his life and he's kind of dealing with that, and you get to see how that is with how that comes into play with the girl as well. So like you get a love story, but you get so many different tropes and so many such different chemistry with the different characters, and I just think that's fun. I think that's my favorite part of it. That's what I liked about the Bonsai tie as well, that because the guys were so different, the chemistry between the guys and our lead girl was different from character to character. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. I can hear people talking. I'm pretty sure they're in the bathroom and I can hear them, and I know if I can hear them, they can hear me, and I'm sitting in here and it's like 12, it's midnight. I'm talking about books. I need them to just, could you go to bed? Anyway. So I enjoyed that one. I enjoyed Triple Duty Bodyguard a little bit less, and I think it's got to do with the chemistry between the characters and also the fact that there's a lot of talk about PTSD in that one, which in some books I'm okay with, but in others I just get kind of not tired of it, but it's just it's uncomfortable to read about in certain situations, and I think it got a little bit too much in that one, so I just enjoyed it a little bit less, but I still enjoyed it. I thought our lead girl was actually quite cool. So in that one, we are following a, oh, and also the stalker situation. That was very uncomfortable. I've had a cyber stalker before, so like, without going into details, because I don't want to talk about it, but, and also it's kind of TMI to share on the channel. But there's been one, and it just kind of like creeps me out a little bit to read about. You know, just like a little bit. But our lead girl is a famous actress in Hollywood, and at least I think it was Hollywood. I'm gonna assume, I know, wild assumption, that it's Hollywood. But she's a famous actress. She's known for being a little bit of a bitch, so she's not very nice in the open, in interviews and stuff. She's made a little bit of a, her public persona is not popular, but people love her anyway because, you know, yeah, people love the drama. Unfortunately, she's had bad experiences with her bodyguards, such as at the start, it turns out that her bodyguard, instead of actually bodyguarding her, he was doing buddy stuff with her assistant. So he's fired, and so she's in the search for new bodyguards. Also because she has a stalker who's like, he's kind of been hinting at stuff for a while, but now things are like getting worse and stuff, so she really needs some proper bodyguards. For example, when you start the book, he's broken into her house and done stuff while she was sleeping. Not touching, but like just stuff. I don't want to talk about it. He had a good time with himself and made a mess on her sheets while she was sleeping. There you go. PGI. No, that's not what it's called. PG way to say that. Yes. What the heck is PGI? Where did that come from? Moving on. So she is put in contact with the like special force or something. They are 3 bodyguards who are ex-army, special forces or something like that. I can't remember exactly what their title is. And they are very good at their job. They're very handsome as well. And they also have different chemistries. So we have this like super nice pleaser guy. We have this like tall and broody, but like secretly a sweetheart kind of guy. And then we have the very PTSD hit and super angry guy as well. I think he's actually, I don't know if I can say that without spoiling the book, so I'm not going to, but her chemistry with them is also very different from character to character, although less than it was in Faken with Benefits. She herself as a character is, like I mentioned, publicly a bit of a, she's mean, she's rude. But then in private, she's actually super sweet. She loves pink. She gives to charity. She just is very smart as well. And she's very nice to the guys. And they're very confused because like, why is she nice to us when she's so mean in public? And there's a whole thing. So it's about them growing closer with her, especially also this guy dealing with his PTSD, oh Jesus. PTSD in connection with growing closer to her, but also the stalker situation coming in the middle of everything and them protecting her from the stalker as well. So yeah, definitely more like, whereas the plot in the first one was definitely on the podcast situation, which was basically surrounding their relationship, this was definitely a bit more focused on the stalker situation, which it's not in the same way about the relationship that the podcast is, because it's very directly about the relationship, whereas the stalker situation is a little bit less, it's about another person. Like, this other person just comes in the middle of everything and just ruins it, you know? He's also super creepy. Do not like that. Did not like it one bit. So yeah, it was still entertaining though. I cannot remember the spud in that one bit. Like, not even a little bit. Can I? No, I don't think so. Well, maybe I glossed over it at times. I can't remember. That's fine. We're moving on to the next book. So I finally read one of the, well, I could have possibly have saved it for the fall, which I think it would have fit better there, but I did a video about which books that I wanted to read. I think I did it around October. That sounds very fitting. But it's called Over My Dead Body. It's by Sweeney Boo, and it's a graphic novel. It's a YA graphic novel. And it was on sale, I think, on Kindle or for Kindle. And I've been wanting to buy that for ages. So when it comes to books, I prefer always reading physical books. I like being able to tap them. I like being able to go back quickly and actually like quickly see what I've tabbed. I also like having them. So I vastly prefer to actually have the physical books. When it comes to graphic novels, it's even more extreme. But I've been wanting, like, I really just prefer not to read on Kindle. Whereas I'm okay with reading books on Kindle, I prefer not to read on Kindle when it comes to graphic novels. However, I've been wanting to read that graphic novel for months. Like, I don't know, it's so long. So when it was on sale, I was like, okay, listen, I gotta have it now. I still need to read something that's a little bit easier to read. Graphic novels obviously focuses a lot on pictures, so I decided, okay, we're gonna do it. And it was so cute! The style, the art style, like, you really cannot see it from the cover. It is adorable. It's so colorful. I think I took a screenshot, but I don't have my iPad on me, so I can't actually show you. That's really bad. I took a screenshot specifically so that I could show you. I'm gonna get my iPad. Give me a moment. Look how cute. Look how cute this is. Like, look at it. That's the vibe throughout the whole thing. It is so color-wise, and I love the lines as well, like there's like the lighting on the characters. I love that. It's spooky as well, definitely very fitting for like fall time, I would say. And it's so colorful, very much like fall colors as well, so think like a lot of browns, a lot of orange, a lot of reds as well. It's just so cute. I had such a good time with it, and then like especially like pictures like this. Stunning. Like, look at this. Gorgeous, beautiful, stunning. And like every picture is like that. Every picture. So I feel like when it comes to graphic novels and you talk about them and make reviews and give recommendations and stuff, it's very important to talk about the style of the graphic novel as well. Because if you don't like the style, it's like a writing style. If you don't like the prose, you're gonna have a hard time with the book, you know? But this book is about our lead girl who is a witch, and she goes to an academy, a school for witches. But things have been happening at the school. A girl has gone missing. The year before, a girl also went missing, and our lead girl is sure, very sure, that these two instances of missing girls they're definitely connected. So she decides that she wants to look into it, and she's told not to, but she does anyway. And she finds out that the people at the school might be holding some secrets, and there are like crazy, weird, spooky things happening in the forest as well. She also has a couple of friends that are helping her out, and there's a bit of a love story between two side characters as well. So it was just so cute. It was so cute. Definitely consider reading it for fall time though, because it's not a spring read at all. It's a perfect Halloween read if you want like something cute, fun, bit fast-paced, a little bit spooky, mysterious. I thought it was really good. Some of the things were a little bit predictable, I would say. Like, it's not like, doesn't have like a wow moment, but I still really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. And just like really, really cute, but spooky at the same time. What's that called? Spoopy? I don't know, maybe. Is that what is that what spoopy means? I thought it was great. It's a thumbs up. I've been looking forward to reading this as well for a while, so my expectations were not crushed. I very much enjoyed it. And then we have 4 books left. Jesus, how did I read this much? Okay, so we're talking about 2 Sarah Simone. That sounds so weird. 2 Sierra Simone books as well, because I got them as an arc, or 2 arcs. She has a trilogy that's called New Camelot, and unfortunately I didn't manage to actually get the 3rd book before they were taken off NetGalley, but I did get the first 2, so thank you, Bloom Books, I think. Yes, Bloom Books, for accepting my requests to get those books. I enjoyed them a lot. So the first one was a friend of mine, Kim, started reading the first one and really enjoyed it. And was like, you know, American Queen exists, I don't know. And I'm like, I'm gonna read it. I found it on NetGalley and was like, Kim mentioned this book, so I'm gonna read it. She hadn't really mentioned what it was about or what it entailed, like what genres it was or anything. She just said, you know, this book's quite good. I enjoyed it. So I was intrigued. And I started reading it without actually looking it up on Goodreads or anything. I did not know what kind of books Sierra Simone wrote at the time. I just did not know. It's very much erotic. So that took me by surprise. But I really liked it. I don't think this kind of smut is necessarily really doing it for me. BDSM is a bit much for me personally. I'm not judging people's kinks, by the way, just want to say, like, do what you want. And I fully mean that. But it's just not, like, personally, it was a bit much at times for me. So, and I wouldn't say that I have, like, a line that is, like, it's pretty high up, you know? But at times I was a bit like, oh, you're crossing a line for me just, like, a little bit. But, so that was the thing. But, there's also a love story. It's not just about that. There's also a love story. And it's about our lead girl and 2 guys, and they're all 3 in love with each other, which was actually really nice. I don't know. I really like that. It's definitely different in this, ménage à trois menage than it was in the reverse harem books, because there's a lot of feeling involved in this. Like, the feelings are very explained in this book, or in these 2 books, and the whole plot is completely different. So we follow our lead girl, at least in the first one, it's written from her point of view. The sequel, American Prince, is written from one of the guys, his name is Embry, and then the 3rd one is written from the last guy, the other guy, whose name is Ash. It's written from his point of view. But the first one is about, or told from Greer's point of view, and Greer is the granddaughter of a previous vice president, I think, and she is a bit younger than the 2 guys, like 10 years younger or something. This is gonna be very confusing to tell, but essentially, when she's a bit on the younger side, she meets the oldest, or not the oldest, because they're the same age. She meets Ash, who she's instantly drawn to, and he's instantly drawn to her. But fast forward a couple of years, he's engaged to someone, and then fast forward a couple of years again, without giving too many details on the whole run-ins and stuff. Oh right, she met Embry the year that she found out that Ash was engaged to some other girl. Okay. But then fast forward a couple of years again, or more than a couple, Greer is contacted by Embry, who's like, you need to have a word with Ash. Ash is now the president, Embry is the vice president, and Greer is a teacher, and she knows these 2 guys for different reasons. She knows that they know each other because they've run for the presidential campaign with each other. I'm getting so tongue-tied. My stomach has also started growling, so I'm blaming it on that. But anyway, and she meets up with Ash, and he's like, I've been waiting for you for the longest time. We need to date, or something like that. Anyway, things start to happen. There's politics talk. There's a lot of that, actually. But there's also, like, other threatening politic figures in play. She has a terrible friend who's also her cousin who comes into play as well, and there's like this looming war as well because war has been fought with another country like 10 years ago and things are not going great, and there's another war looming in the background, and like there's a lot to it other than just this this trio's love story, but I really enjoyed it. I was really surprised when it suddenly turned very, very like demandingly smutty. Very surprised. But then I was like, okay, we're going there. That's okay. I'm gonna continue. And I really enjoyed the book. I think Sierra Simone writes very flowy. Like it was very comfortable to read. Except from these few instances where the smut was taken a little bit too far for my liking. It was very comfortable to read. She has a very comfortable way of writing. A very flowy, almost lyrical way of writing. Like it's very feeling. I don't know how I can explain it. Poetic. It was nice. It was very nice. And I'm so invested in this trio's love story because not only does Greer have history with both Embry and Ash at different points in their life, they've been drawn to each other for like a decade or something, but Embry and Ash also has a very, very complicated and very turbulent and very extreme story, relationship, backstory, everything as well. So there's a whole lot between these three characters, and I just like how it comes together. I like it. I don't know, I just like it. But then at the same time, you're like, nobody's gonna support that. Okay, not nobody, but like, people are not ready for that. I don't think I would care. Personally, I wouldn't care if it came to light that, okay, maybe not Joe Biden, but like, do we have a younger president or something somewhere in some country? I would feel like if Joe Biden had a boyfriend and then also his wife, I would be a bit like, that's interesting. Yeah. But also like old men. I don't do what you want. I would respect it. Does he have a boyfriend as well? I think that would be kind of cool. Yeah. But anyway, I feel like a lot of people would not support it though. So, and that's also mentioned in the story. Unfortunately, we do live in a time where there's a lot of people on this planet who are not very supportive of people who are not straight. And let's not go into politics too much, but I'm assuming if you're on this channel, we kind of share the same perspective on these things, and I just don't care who people sleep with. Like, I don't care who you want to marry. Go ahead. It's very cliche, but love is love. But I'm also not stupid, and I know that a lot of other people on this planet unfortunately don't share the same perspective. So it is brought up a couple of times that a relationship between Ash and Embry coming to light would cause some issues, but then also this like trio, if that ever came to light, that would also cause some issues. Also because Greer is not only with Ash, but she's also with Embry, so if that is brought to light because she's married to Ash publicly, that would also cause some issues. So it's like, it has to all be kept under wraps and stuff. I don't know, it's very dramatic. I'm living for it. Yep. So I'm gonna patiently wait for the third book to become available for me somehow, and I'm gonna binge it because I was having such a good time and I need to read from Ash's point of view. He is a very intimidating character. Very. So I need to know what's going on in that head. Yes. And now I've talked for over an hour. We still got 2 more books, so let's do it. Let's talk about Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare next. YA fantasy, urban fantasy, I want to call it, and paranormal vibes, but think like not ghosts, but like vampires and elves or fairies. Yes, angels and, okay, demons as well. There's some demons, yes. If you don't know Shadow Hunters, so this is the 3rd trilogy that Cassandra Clare has written, this being the first one in this trilogy. It's called The Dark Artifices. If you want to read the books, start out with The Mortal Instruments, then read The Infernal Devices, then you can read this one. It's my suggestion anyway, but you can choose not to listen to me, that's fine. I respect your opinion, or I respect your decision. In this one though, it takes place at the Los Angeles Institute in 2012. We follow Emma Carstairs, who does not have a lot of family, but fortunately for her, she's been brought in to live with the Blackthorns, who's like this big family, but the Blackthorns are also kind of like cursed. They're not really cursed, but like things are not going well for the Blackthorns ever. So, you know, Julian's the oldest one of the, well, second oldest one of the Blackthorn kids. Or is he the third oldest one? I can't remember. There's a lot. Two of them are half fae, and so I think he's actually the third oldest one. Yeah, but one of them, the fae sister, is not present in the first one, and the fae brother actually comes back, but he's like at Julian's age at that point. It's weird. He's not aged while he's been gone, so just to set it straight. But Julian is kind of like the father figure for the other children, the other Blackthorn children, and he's also Emma's parabatai. So, to explain what the heck is going on if you don't know Shadowhunters. They are humans that have part angel blood. That makes them perfect fighters to fight demons, but also vampires who break the rules, and also fairies who break the rules, and, you know, other paranormal creatures living in our world who break the rules. Things are kind of awkward at this point because some stuff has happened in the Mortal Instruments that have repercussions and has caused some tension between the different groups of people and creatures in this book. So things are just not like, they're a bit tense at the moment. Parabatai means that there's a bond between Shadowhunters that make them better at working together, and it makes them stronger together. But the thing is about Emma and Julian, Emma doesn't really know it, but Julian loves her as more than a parabatai, and he's not actually allowed to. It's against the law. So that's a thing. Does Emma love Julian back? I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, so there's some drama. And it starts out, the story itself is about Emma getting help from the Blackthorns, but also there's a warlock as well. There's another woman, another leader sort of situation, a shadow hunter at the Institute who also helps her, and probably some other people. Oh, right, yeah. Oh, there's so many characters in this book. How am I going to explain this in a way that if you've not read it, how will you keep track of all those characters? She gets help from a lot of people because her parents were killed several years ago, and it's a mystery. She doesn't know who did it. She's been told that this person did it, but a person from the Mortal Instruments, but she doesn't believe that, so she's set on figuring out who killed her parents, and that's basically what this book is about. Her getting help to figure out who killed her parents from all these people. And there's a lot of drama and a lot of feelings because that is very Cassandra Clare. Okay, a lot of characters too, like a lot of recurring names. Like a lot of repeated names throughout the books, which can be a little bit confusing. But also kind of cool when you notice the last name and you're like, wait, that's Jem! She's family with Jem! And then he turns up in the book and you're like, oh, I love you, Jem! And also Tessa. I love the Infernal Devices. I was very happy to see them show up in the book. Anyway, there's a lot of drama in this one. It took me a while to get through the first like 30% or something, but once I was hooked, I was really hooked. And then all the drama. And now I'm like, oh no, going into the sequel. My heart's gonna get broken. But that's usually how it goes with these books, with the Shadowhunter books. They're very much like, this does have an added mystery plot to it, which is nice, but a lot of it feels like, it could feel a little bit like the same, and then with different names and stuff, but like, I'm eating it up. I don't care. I do not care. I really enjoy it. So I was having a good time with this. I am terrified to go into Lord of Shadows, like absolutely terrified. If anything happens to any of the children or any of the other characters, I am gonna throw a fit. And I know something will happen because something always happens. Someone's gonna get killed. I just know it. I'm sorry, YouTube, I meant unalived. But that's gonna happen. It always happens, doesn't it? Yeah. So I'm gonna push Lord of Shadows for just a little bit. Anyway, and then we're at the last book, which is Book Lovers. This is one of the books that I was told by you that I had to read in 2023. Thank you for telling me to read it because I really loved it. So this is by Emily Henry. I think it's before Happy Place is released, which I think it is in May. This is her newest one. And even though I will say, I do have one note on this before we go into the plot. It says one summer, two rivals, a plot twist they didn't see coming. I saw the plot twist coming. I just want to say, like, it's Emily Henry only writes happily ever afters. So it's like a thing. But rivals, I don't see them as rivals. I can't see them as rivals because like they're not competitors in any way whatsoever. They work in publishing, both of them, but they work in like two different positions. They're not competing for anything. So how are they rivals? Am I just not understanding that word correctly? I don't know. But as for book lovers, we follow our lead girl who is having a hard time with relationships, and as in like things just don't go well. So you know those like small town romances where someone from the big city goes to the small town and they meet someone and they decide to basically uproot their entire lives to stay in this small town with this person because they turn out to be the love of their lives. So they meet this new person, but back in the city, they have someone who they leave. She's the woman that they always leave for this other small town girl. Yeah. And that happens over and over and over. She is living the book cliche, but like she's on the wrong side of it. She's not getting the actual payoff. She is the villain in the story, if you will. Although she's not a villain, she's very nice. But she's also kind of terrifying. She's just a woman who's good at her job, okay? She's a career woman who keeps getting left by men. I feel for her. I feel very sorry for her. Anyway, but also, if they leave you, it's not meant to be. So like, good riddance, you know? Good riddance. But she decides, or she doesn't actually, her sister decides that the two of them have to go to, I should backtrack because while she's in the city, she meets up with an editor because she wants him to edit one of her clients' books. So she's a literary agent. She basically sets people in contact with her, I almost called it customer, but that's not what it's called. Client? Yes, client. Who she's worked with for a long time, and like she knows how to handle her client the best. She knows exactly how to talk to her, and she can be a bit of a hurricane, if you will. So like emotions are high some of the time. And so she's talking with this editor. They're not getting along at all. He does not want to edit this book because he did not like the previous book, even though the previous book was a bestseller. So things are not going great at this dinner. They decide to part ways and just don't stay in contact. But then, fast forward a little bit, her sister is like, listen, we should go to this town. See how idyllic it actually is, the town in the bestseller book? Yes. And I'm gonna make a list out of these different things that are kind of book inspired that you need to live out in this town. And so they take off, and when they get there, they find out that this editor, this guy who wears black clothes all the time and a turtleneck and stuff, and he's like a little bit uptight. He's also there for whatever reason. And so the two of them, obviously, having a little bit of a past, start to talk and they start to email each other. They have nice chemistry. And that's basically what it's about. It's like very much, title-wise, very correct. So it's like a love letter to romance books, I want to say, because it has the cliches, but it's just well written still. It's very cute because of it. Cliches can very quickly become way too cliche, but for some reason, somehow, Emily Henry just manages to pull it off. I don't know. I was like, oh, I recognize that from other books. Like, it's just like she loans from other... It's so well done. For a romance book, it's so well done. I had a good time with it. There was a lot of it as well that I thought was very relatable, very much being someone who works too much as a woman. There was some of it that I found very, very relatable. And then there was something like, oh my gosh, because she's a tall woman. How did I know exactly where to look it up? She's a tall woman. I'm gonna read this for you because she's on a date with someone. And he asks, how tall are you? This is like my worst nightmare. I'm 5'11", by the way. I'm not really that tall, I'm just tall. And then he asks, are you a model? And then she thinks, he says this hopefully, like the right answer could excuse a multitude of height-related sins. There is, of course, the misconception that straight men universally love tall, thin women. Being such a woman, I can debunk this. Very much so. And then she explains that it's okay if you're a model, then it's okay to be a tall woman. Because then you're cool, because you're a model. But if you're not a model, then why are you tall? You don't need to be tall. Like, you're just imposing on my fragile ego, you know? So, I don't know, I thought that was cool. I just found relatable stuff like that in the book that had nothing to do with career, but like, it just added to it. I was like, oh, a tall girl, a tall woman, I can relate. And then talking about how it's, because I've experienced with that as well, unfortunately, that some guys just don't. And then he starts to ask about her shoe size. Like, what the heck? No. Anyways, the whole thing. I don't want to get too into it in this video, but I don't, when you just find books that little things here and there just really are relatable to you, it's so nice. And then with it being like I said, a love letter to romance books, the title being fitting because you're working, or we're talking about two people, includes two people that work in the publishing industry. They're book lovers, both of them. A lot of the things that they bond over are books, but it also just like, it's for book lovers. This book is for book lovers because you can pick up on things that you've seen in other books. If you haven't read that in other books, like, you're not a book lover because you haven't read enough books. You get what I mean? So it's nice with the double meaning. So I don't think she can stand on her own. I'm sorry. That's awkward. You're lovely, but you don't have any bellins. So, but that was, I hope that was all books. If I skipped one, I apologize. But that was my reading wrap up for March. I talked a lot. I had a lot to share, apparently. I really should start taking notes so that I don't just rant, but sometimes it's also just fun to rant, you know? I enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to give the video a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this from me, but also bookish unboxings and reading vlogs, the readathons, other book-related videos, the wrap-up videos as well, feel free to hit the thumbs, or not the thumbs up. I mean, hopefully you've already done that. But the subscribe button, wow, save that one. Nailed it. Anyway, it's late. I gotta go. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.